So thank you, Amanda, for the introduction. Really excited to be here. Actually have a lot of companies I'm working with that are in the exhibition hall, so it's nice to kind of get to come down and see them in person. So as Amanda said, I head up our hardware design and technology vertical at Indiegogo. So what does that mean? Doesn't mean I build hardware. I wish I was that smart, but I get the privilege of working with some of the most promising companies that are looking to leverage crowdfunding as part of their go-to-market strategy. So I'm going to talk just very briefly about kind of what that means and how, as Amanda mentioned, Indiegogo was founded in 2008. We started in film. We actually launched a year before Kickstarter. We invented the word crowdfunding. The word crowdfunding didn't exist until a few years ago, I believe. We just wanted to create a platform that removed the gatekeepers and said it doesn't matter who you know, or if you have a rich uncle, or you happen to be connected to someone at Kleiner Perkins who led our B round, so I love Kleiner Perkins. But it shouldn't be about who you know. It should be about the quality of what you're doing. So enough about Indiegogo. Happy to answer any and all questions during this, but let's just kind of dive right into it. So crowdfunding in general, as you can see here, this is a study done last year. Very simple, but it's just exploding, right? So again, we launched 8 years ago. We barely had a website. We had, I think, one or a handful of campaigners. There was literally no technology campaigns at all. This entire global crowdfunding market is estimated it ballooned to about $34 billion last year. It's expected to get much, much bigger than that this year. And I think by 2020, don't quote me on this, but it's supposed to be well over $100 billion. The vast majority of what we're finding on Indiegogo is that hardware and technology is making up the large sort of growth in overall crowdfunding. In particular on Indiegogo, we've seen about at least 1,000% increase in growth year over year the last 2 years. So about 3 years ago, just to give you a perspective, my team was about 1.5 people. We had a baby on team, so the half person, but it's now about 10 people. That's just in the last year and a half, 18 months, 2 years. So we're putting resources into it because we're seeing the demand for it. So I'm going to talk about some what I call the early days. And even this wasn't early days. Keep in mind, we launched in 2008. I'm talking halfway through our company's life here. We first started seeing some of these real interesting wearables campaigners. So because this is the wearables track, I could talk about drones, I could talk about everything else, but I'm going to focus on wearables. Just a quick couple of case studies to kind of give you guys an idea of the types of companies using crowdfunding and also how they're leveraging crowdfunding. So this campaign, Muse, launched in 2012. I can't stress it enough. 2012 and crowdfunding, particularly for a technology company, was the absolute dark ages. It was almost unheard of to do it. Very, very, very difficult to raise money, even on crowdfunding. Raising $1 million was literally unheard of back then. This was again, I put there, so brain sensing headband. VCs turn down most people, but imagine walking into a meeting with an investor and saying, yeah, I have this brain sensing headband. No, I swear it works. It's great. Obviously, all of them said no. They all like to say, VCs like to say they like to take risks. They don't. They like to hedge their bets, and they want to see some sort of traction before doing it. So she couldn't raise any money. They're out of Toronto, really smart team, really interesting product. We knew it had potential. We had done our homework and talked to them. I'm going to jump right into the punchline here with the limited time here. But again, they raised almost $300,000 in Indiegogo from, I forget I should have put the number of people, but I think it was over 1,000 people. So clearly they validated demand for the product. They also have clearly raised money, which helped. And then, of course, the minute that happened, I can't remember the exact timing, but they quickly, and I mean quickly, like within a few months, had secured a $6 million Series A, and then quickly after that, had raised another $10 million. So this is what I mean by go-to-market. This is crowdfunding. I'm going to get into this a little bit more. It's really not about the money. The money is very important, but I believe Indiegogo has built the greatest market validation and market research platform around. So I can talk about that more, but this is what the product looks like today. You can go on their website. It's selling everywhere. It actually works. It's pretty cool. We've tried it. Another really good example, how many people have heard of the misfit Shine? Probably, hopefully, yeah. Sunny, we love Sunny, he's amazing. If you ever want to talk to an amazing technology entrepreneur, I recommend Sunny. Very experienced entrepreneur, very savvy team. This one launched in 2013. Again, very early days in crowdfunding for technology. These were he had two kind of major questions at the beginning. They thought that people wanted an activity tracker, and this was before there were a billion activity trackers, right? This was still kind of a new idea, but they were pretty confident people wanted some sort of tracker for their activities. But they weren't really sure, well, okay, if they can validate that, then number two is how do they want to use it? And entrepreneurs sort of have these blinders on where you think you know what people want, but again, one of the great things about crowdfunding is you can actually go to your community and have them tell you how they want to use your product or what to do. So again, these guys raised almost $850,000. Again, in today's crowdfunding money, if I could extrapolate that out, that would be multiple millions of dollars. This was a massive amount of money, and still is, don't get me wrong, but this was unheard of back then. They raised a ton of money, but more importantly, from almost 8,000 people from 85 countries around the world. I'm gonna say that again, 8,000 people from 85 countries around the world. Okay, so we're a global platform. You're gonna get insight, but here's what they found out. They thought they knew everything. So I should take a step back. They launched this very simplistic product. You've probably seen it. You can buy it in the Apple Store everywhere. It was almost like that when it started. And then the one little thing they had was a sort of mini clip attachment that was very simplistic. And they had done their homework and they knew that people wanted to keep it simple, but they thought they'd want a clip so you could clip it to your shirt, just like I have the mic clipped here. But they weren't sure. Was that correct? Pretty soon, they found out through their crowdfunding campaign, people started writing in. You can comment on Indiegogo, not just put money in. They were like, hey, we want a bracelet, or I want to wear this on my necklace. And they had literally hundreds of responses asking for these two things. 1/3 of their contributors. So they said, okay, I guess we'll create that. Long story short, they created a necklace, attachment, other accessories. Indiegogo allows you to sort of, I know it's a dirty word, but upsell, which we're a business. We believe in you should sell. You can add different perks to your campaign throughout and say, hey, you pre-ordered the Misfit. How about paying another $25 for the necklace attachment? So they had a great success with that and raised a lot more money in their campaign. This was during the campaign. They also realized, this is kind of shocking to me. Sunny's a really smart guy, and I'm not saying they hadn't thought about it, but I don't think they realized where their market was completely. They really put all of their resources and time into the US market. They were convinced this is a US market, US product. 30% of their backers came from overseas. You can see on the back end of Indiegogo where people are coming from, specifically China. And they were like, well, this is crazy. This is in English. All these people want this product, though. Wow, we're amazed. So they shifted a lot of their marketing dollars to Asia, and again, their campaign took off. So this is real market research, right? The other interesting thing is they tested, you can sort of price test on Indiegogo, we like to say. If it doesn't work, then remove the perk, right? You can do whatever you want. So they tested the black color to sort of, I think it was $150, and then they walked the price up from $79 to $89 to $99, and then black was $129 or something. But they did all this price studies during the campaign, and that's actually how they came to their MSRP, which back then was $99. I'm not exactly sure what it sells for today, but it's around that. They actually didn't know how to price it, and they learned how to price it through their campaign. And they also learned that people actually were willing to pay more for a black color, for example, which they were surprised by. So again, we're talking about where this is going. So I don't know how many people saw this, but we're very proud of this. I mean, did we have everything to do with this? Absolutely not. Did we help? Sure. Misfit was acquired by Fossil Group a few months ago for $260 million. Okay, they started on Indiegogo, raised $900,000 or $850,000, and they just got bought for $260 million. Is that gonna happen to everyone? Of course not. But this is the type of thing I'm talking about, and they wouldn't have learned these things or been as valuable if they hadn't done this early on. So I think the point is, as crowdfunding grows up, so do the campaigners. I'm going to kind of rush through this because I want to leave it open for questions. We have about 5 minutes, but it's really not about the money. The money is very important, don't get me wrong, and I'm happy to help you raise as much money as possible. We don't make money unless you make money. That's what I say 20 times a day. We're a business, right? I want you to make as much money as possible. but it's really defined by everything. This is just a really, really quick example. This is not a wearable, but I just want to kind of set the stage here. Very quick story. I don't know who saw this campaign called the Hive. Father and son out of Australia. They found a better way to do beekeeping, more sustainable, et cetera. Just essentially turning a beehive into a tap. So honey on tap, like beer on tap. All sorts of implications, better for the environment, better for the bees, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We thought they'd raise a few $100,000 or maybe $1 million, maybe. These guys raised $12 million, okay? They're still raising money in Indiegogo. $12 million. They had no idea what they were doing. Father and son in the middle of nowhere, Australia. Overnight, they had to build a business. But my point of the story is, like, I list the things that crowdfunding can do. It's not about the crowd. It's about the crowd, sorry, not just the funding. I think you can validate your idea. You can get exposure. You know, we get like 20 million uniques a month to our website or something like that. You get massive exposure. You can connect directly with customers like Misfit did and get feedback. You can create those evangelists who go tell their friends and other people. And then lastly, you can raise money, right? I know that sounds crazy, but so why do most hardware or wearable crowdfunding campaigns fail? Well, it's like anything in startups, most startups fail, so that's okay, and it's okay to fail. But I like to talk about two things. So one, the big misperception around crowdfunding, and quite simply, is that it's this pot of gold waiting to be had, and you just launch a product and cross your fingers. Couldn't be further from the truth. Indiegogo is an amplification platform. We help amplify your own efforts. So the people that do really well have done a lot of homework, a lot of preparation with our team oftentimes, but this isn't just luck. The other thing, like I said, researching crowdfunding is hard. You can look up on the internet, you can find a billion different people trying to sell you their services, but like, we like to say like, well, come to us. We do that. This is literally what I do for a living. So come to us if you want to talk about how to run a successful campaign. All right, so really quickly, hopefully a couple minutes of questions, but this is the new campaigner. These guys are here today. I think they're actually talking maybe today, actually. I'm working with them. They're almost at $700,000. Their original goal was $50K. They raised that in less than an hour. But they prepared for months and months and months with my team. Really, another Australian company. They were actually listed on the ASX, the Australian Stock Exchange, before they launched an Indiegogo campaign. I'm not going to get into how the stock exchange is different there than here. It's very complicated. But just to give you the sense of, like, this was a legitimate company. This wasn't just like two guys, two girls in a garage. Really cool company. Check them out here. This one just went live about a week ago. We've been working with this team for, I think, a year or more. They had a video that went viral on Facebook, but with some really savvy marketing. It was viewed almost 11 million plus times. They raised $1 million in about 3 hours last week. They're at like 1.9 million today, I just checked. It'll easily raise a few $1 million, but again, this isn't just an accident. This is an amazing product. It's speech translation through your app. And then finally, I thought these guys were going to be here, but they're not. Just to give you the sense of, these guys are launching this summer. I've been working with them for a while. They're working with Ammunition Group, who designed the Beats headphones and some other iconic products. Also, their CEO was literally the lead product manager on the Amazon Echo Dot and the Kindle. Like, these are real serial entrepreneurs. I'm not saying everyone has to be that for success, but in the essence of this talk and where crowdfunding has come, it's become like, it's more about the market validation and market research than it is about the money. I don't know if we have any time for questions.
We can take a question or two.
Couple questions, but this is me. If you want to talk, I'm happy to hand out cards, but yeah, go ahead. I can barely see you, but yell.
How do you differentiate yourself from Kickstarter and what is your target of entrepreneurs?
Sure. So I get that question 700 times a day, and I'm happy to actually send you a one-pager that compares the two. But the quick answer is there's two major ways we're different from Kickstarter, and now a third. The two ways are the support. My team provides a ton of support. There's 10 of us, specifically in hardware and tech. We'll work with you for, again, up to a year if you want. It doesn't matter. We don't make money unless you make money. You can't get anyone on the phone at Kickstarter. You could try. Love to hear that story if you can, but you can't. Secondly is our platforms are very different. I'm not going to go into all the detail, but just a couple of quick examples. You actually can't get the email addresses of your backers on Kickstarter until after the campaign ends. We give you that information the minute someone contributes. So if you're a savvy marketer, things like that matter. I could go on and on, but the platform is different. Our Our target now, oh, and then the third way is we're now building out what we call an end-to-end platform. We want to go from concept to market, whether that means retail or whatever. We have retail partnerships. We just announced a big partnership with Arrow Electronics last week. We literally want to help you manufacture or whatever you need to do to be successful. Kickstarter is strictly just for creators to be creative. We want to build an entrepreneur company building platform.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Please thank Michael for me.